Hey guys, so I got an update with the big refining setup that's been going on. I was gonna record this about 30 minutes ago, and then as I was recording it, I found some some issues. So I was trying to troubleshoot that and stuff really quick, but kind of figured I'd just go over everything, and also I can show, explain kind of the issues that I was having and what I'm doing to hopefully try and fix them. Or kind of running everything to C now. So when I left off, I was just kind of working on the inputs and output belts. I've since now got pretty much everything done. It's not completely fleshed out. As you can see, I still got some sinks going just to test some things, but for the most part, everything is set up. I have all the output belts for the iron. Now, I do know that the iron, I usually am pretty good about this. I didn't do it on my copper, and I'm kind of regretting it. So I've now since kind of half set up some to sync to test, but the iron I know is 100% stable and running completely fine, because I had all 91 lines running into sinks, and I had them running into sinks for probably over 12 hours. It was pretty much, I had them set up for an entire 8-hour live stream. And then also when I was kind of doing some miscellaneous things, and they were all running steady. So I have 100% confidence in the iron. It is completely running fine. The water also won't be an issue, because all of these modules are designed around not consuming the 600 water. So they're only consuming around 570. So there's no issues with the water. The one thing, the few modules that are designed around using the full pipe of water are the Caterium, the concrete, and the copper. Now, I had since run the Caterium, and I just did a small test on this module here, and I was not having any issues. So I was pretty confident that, okay, it's all good, and I moved on. Now, I had since started running this one, and I was seeing some issues. So what I was seeing was the water was kind of, these last ones were not really getting enough water. So I initially just figured, okay, well, I'll test just doing a simple loop back onto here, see how that works. But then I figured, well, actually, let's look at what pipes they are. So I tracked back the pipe to the entrance, because originally when I built the stack, I miscalculated how much water I was going to need. And I only had the stack was 6 high, and so I needed to add 2 extra layers to it. So I tracked this one back, and lo and behold, it is one of the new pipes that I added. So let me just go over here really quick. So now when I first built the pipes, again, they were only 6 high, and I put in the pumps, and there was not really any issues. They were the head lift, I think, was around 45 out of 50. Well, when I added in the new pipes, they were still fine. They were still under the 50, but it would seem that these issues, these lines that are causing me issues, are the 2 new ones that I've added where they were close to the 50 head lift of the pump. So what I have since done is just added in another pump in those lines that were having issues. And I'm going to see first if this completely eliminates it, or if I'm going to have to start doing other things with the pipes. So as you can see, these ones were originally, 45.7 head lift. These ones were, I think this one was 49.5 or something like that head lift. So like I said, I've added these pumps in now here, so they're not even close to the 50 head lift limit. And yeah, so we'll see if that addresses the issue. Luckily, with how I have things built, they're all identical modules, and there's lots of them. So I have the advantage that if that doesn't work, then I can try a couple different options as far as like manifold looping and stuff like that, and I can test them all at the same time. So I was doing that with the concrete. So if I head down to where the concrete is getting done, I was noticing that again when the concrete, because I've had this concrete sinking, oh gosh, it's been a couple days now that it's been sinking, and I was noticing that some of the lines were again starting to dry up on water when they technically shouldn't, because they're consuming 600 and they need 600. So what I've done now is, this is kind of how the original setup was, just a full pipe comes down, manifolds in. You hear tons of people talk about, oh, there's going to be blowback and stuff like that, all this different things. So we'll see, because I have one setup like this. I'll let that run. I'm going to test another one like this, where it just loops the whole unit back in and on itself. see if that works. And then I also have this one where I've just simply connected each unit together. So I'm going to let this run I'm going to let it run indefinitely until I start seeing any issues, or if I don't see any issues. But I'm curious if these fixes weren't even necessary now that I realized that the head lift with the pump was close to the max. And I'm honestly thinking that was probably more the issue than what's going on here. But I'll let everything run with the limestone, and we'll see. So the limestone, pretty confident that it's going to be running steady very soon. And then up to the top with the copper. Again, I didn't stress test the copper, and I'm kind of regretting it, because now once you can get all of the lines consolidated, trying to get 50 lines of copper into 50 sinks is significantly more of a pain in the ass than you would think. So I've opted to just take 2 of the lines out here, because each of these modules consume 2 belts of ore and produce 5 belts of ingots. So I'm just testing 2 of the units here. That being said, I maybe should have tested 2 of the units that are closest to the high end of the pipe stack, but I don't think it will really matter. So I'm just going to test these, let these run steady, and if these run steady, then I can pretty safely assume the rest of the modules, since they're all built the same, will also work. I might have to come back and test some things with that after, but let's do a quick test check here, see if any of these are running out of water. They're not running out of water. This one is a little different because I center feed this manifold. Just with how the pipes were laying out, it worked better to do it that way. This one down here is more just feeding off the end, and then it fulfills the whole manifold. So let's go down and check on this last one and see if it's out of water real quick. So here we go. This this is too much ore. I tried to like purge the system of ore so that way I could get it to be running steady, but it's harder than you would think with how quick everything's being crafted. So okay, so all the water seems to be stabilizing. Again, with how many natural buffers I have in this thing, one, the pipes being extremely long, the conveyor belts being really, really long. If you want to try and troubleshoot anything and see if, for example, if this is why when I was building the conveyor belt line, I was pretty good about kind of each day checking any lines. I would run like all the copper into some sinks, all the iron into some sinks, and just let it run for like a half an hour so it could kind of remove all the internal buffers and see if I had maybe forgot to overclock one of the miners or something like that, right? Because now that everything is so long, if this is, for example, not, say I didn't put an overclocker in one of the miners and I'm only getting 900 out of the instead of the 1200, for the time it will take me to see that 300 ore difference, it could take as long as an hour, right, until all the belt lines have kind of run its course, and then I start seeing the issues. So it's good to just hook things up to sinks and just let them run, because I really want to be able to depend on my lines, right? That's the whole point of belting things and getting them direct. That if I want to design something that's going to utilize the full belt, I need to be confident that it's actually going to be producing that. So at each step of the line, I like to check and make sure, okay, yes, I'm getting 1200 ore per minute. Okay, then feel confident putting it into here. Okay, yes, I'm getting 1200 ingots per minute. Okay, feel confident moving on to the next step, and so on and so on. So the copper is there. This is the quartz crystal here. I don't have it running. I did have it running into sinks. These are very small setups, so I let them run into sinks for several hours, but I have 100% confidence that they're working. So we got the seven belts of silica here with just doing this cheap silica recipe, and then pure quartz there. All of these go down and they meet up with all of the resources from the belt that are carrying on and going through. So I'm just getting the coal, sulfur, SAM. I haven't piped up the Caterium yet. It's gonna have to go into here and it will populate this point in the belt. Then the silica comes down and all of the crystal comes down and comes along this line down here to meet up with everything else. And kind of the big finale is the big conveyor belt line here down at the end. All these iron, I like doing kind of these squiggles or these loops because they're not any more difficult to make, and they end up looking cool, and looks like you spent a lot of time doing the belts, when, like I said, with the straight mode it's actually really easy to do stuff like this with the belts. So everything comes down here. If you're ever wondering what 91 belts of iron look like, this is what it looks like. So granted, doing it single stack, probably not the most efficient, but one, I really spent a lot of time making this. I wanted to be able to actually get the sense of scale of all the resources, so that's why I opted to go one high. And also it's actually extremely easy to belt things when they're only one high. One thing that kind of sucks though is how I belted these and just kind of split it down the middle and cascaded things off the side. This elevator rotates the ore or the ingots so it's different, so you can see a distinct line where these ingots look light, and then those ones look dark, these ones look dark, and it looks different. You can also see it as well on the copper. There's like a distinct line. So the only way you can fix that, and I don't know if I want to bother doing this, but is if you just add a merger in. It rotates how the ore is put on the belt. So I could just do a line of mergers along here, and I might end up doing that just so that way it looks uniform and you don't have these kind of weird lines in the belts. But yeah, so here we are. We have like I said, they have the 91 belts of iron ingots on the bottom. This is the 50 belts of copper. All comes in from down there and just kind of nicely spreads out into the 50. We have all of the limestone from the bottom that comes up, the 22 belts of concrete. There's, I believe, 17 belts of coal. 17 belts of coal that just comes through from the other side. One of these is a weak line, so the outside one is only 900 as opposed to the 1200. And then all this one's kind of a little bit of a sushi belt going on here, but this is the 7 full belts of silica, 3 of quartz crystal, 6 of the sulfur. Again, this is a weak line as well. It's only, I believe, 550. I got my cheat sheet here. I want to keep track of everything. Yeah, so that belt is only 550 sulfur, and then this will be the Caterium when I belt it up, and the Caterium is also going to be this will be a weak belt of I think it will only be a 300 belt of Caterium, and then these 4 will be full 1200 belts. Now you might be wondering why I have a mixture of Mark 5 belts and Mark 6 belts. And that is because building with Mark 6 belts at the current size of my factory, it is pretty much impossible with the lag. So Mark 5 belts don't lag at all when you're building with them like the Mark 6. So I'll just show an example real quick. So if you're building with Mark 5 belts, you can place the belt and there's no issues, no lag at all, right? It was exactly how you would expect. But, and I am only assuming this because of the lighting or the fact that the belt itself is transparent. When you build with the Mark 6 belts, I get very noticeable, there's like 3 not noticeable full-on freezes when I build with the belts. And because I'm doing thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of belts, I've just made the decision that I'm going to build everything out of Mark 5 belts. And then at the end of the day, I just go through and and load the save into the calculator, and I upgrade all the belts to Mark 6. Unfortunately, it's kind of what I've had to do. I had some kind of moral wasn't wanting to do that because is somewhat, I guess, cheaty, because then I'm not having to pay the price for Mark 6 belts. That being said, I already had about 2,000 kilometers of Mark 6 belts being placed before I've done this, and I have a really high amount of time crystals and fix-it trigons being produced a minute. I have like 10 storages, and so yeah, the time crystals and the trigons, it was never an issue to maintain them, so I don't feel too bad about it. And the fact is, if I had to play and place this many Mark 6 belts with the lag. It just I wouldn't be able to do it. It would be too frustrating. I do also have this belt of SAM here. It was a 1250 belt, but I've poached off 25 of it because I had to convert I converted some sulfur into limestone, and that was just so I had the because I originally had 32.75 belts of limestone, so I just converted 300 so that way I would have the full 33 belts of limestone, and then it made the numbers and the ratios a lot easier. So everything here is just going to carry on. I probably at some point will pull some of the resources off. I need to kind of figure out, I'm probably going to have to start looking a little bit further into the future to see. I'm pretty confident that I can take all of this coal and convert all of it to steel. I don't think I'm going to need any of it for time crystals, because I plan to do all this oil here, all this oil here, all those. I think I'm going to make all of those into diamonds with the oil-based diamonds. I'm not really sure. Like I said, I'll have to do the numbers and see. Maybe I do have to reserve some of this for diamonds, but the plan right now is just to convert all of this coal into steel. Now this is the remainder of all the limestone on the entire, or the concrete on the entire map. I have 2 belts of concrete at my other factory that I haven't used, and this. So once this is it, that's all the map has for limestone. So everyone says there's lots of limestone in the map. I've found that it doesn't really seem like there is a lot of limestone. So I'm gonna make these into encased beams, encased beams. But again, I'm going to have to run the numbers. I might run out of concrete before I get as many encased beams as I want. So I might have to resort to using some of my iron for iron pipes. Not really sure. Like I said, I'm kind of winging it one stage at a time, but I am going to have to start thinking a little bit into the future so I don't kind of cut myself off at the knees and run out of resources and then not have the ability to kind of finish some of the things that I wanted to do at the scale I wanted to do them. But yeah, so the belt's coming along really nice. The end destination for it is just going to be over by Paradise Island. That's where I'll start the big factory that'll consume all of this. But really happy with how the belt is coming out. It looks amazing. It's a little inefficient space wise, but this will make it a lot easier to pull lines off when I need to start utilizing them, having everything one stack. And again, running all the belts is a lot easier when you don't have it like that. So if anybody has any questions, definitely drop them in the comments to try and be answering them there. Best place definitely though is just come drop by the live stream when I'm streaming. I'm usually streaming probably about 6 days a week right now. So come and check out the live stream. You can ask questions there. I'm always love to get your guys' questions and I can answer them there. If you want to see maybe just kind of like more in depth as to each one of these modules, I could maybe go over them. They're really simple modules. And that's honestly what makes this thing so easily digestible. Is it looks really big, it looks really complicated, but at the end of the day, all of these modules are just the same module repeated multiple times, right? So it's really easy to just kind of design something small and then just scale it big with a whole bunch of those smaller things. So again, thanks for watching, and keep you guys updated in the future.